Yo, I hope you're all doing very well. We are currently in autumn and now going into our winter months, and I wanted to give you 6 ways that you can improve your bike to make it more comfortable and safe to ride in terrible conditions like wet weather, and also as the nights are getting longer. So now you have no excuse to pick up your bike and go riding, whether it's to commute or just for fun in these hazardous conditions. I'd say look out for tips 5 and 6 as they're regarding your safety on your bike. But if you're new to my channel, I am Dan and I like to escape on my bikes and do other adventures and hopefully inspire you to do the same. But yeah, let's get on with those 6 tips to make it easier for you to ride in wet weather and winter conditions. So nobody likes a wet bum when riding, so my first tip is get full length mudguards or fenders like I have. See, it goes all the way around here, same on the sides here, it goes all the way around and up the front a little bit. By having full covered fenders or mudguards, it helps protect your bike as well as protecting the back and your legs from getting sprayed by water that's coming off the ground. If you don't have the mounts to have full coverage fenders, then there are options where you can clip them on here and it will just cover from the back here. Same on the front, so you can clip them on the forks and it'll cover the back. Or you can get ones which I don't really recommend, are the ones on the back here. You can still get spray up your bike and it will still hit you and tend to wobble when you're riding. So my second tip, and it is definitely a good safety one, and that is running with lights both front and rear. So when it comes to lights, I recommend getting something with 200 lumens or more, like this one here. There you go. And also having one that is daytime running. That means you're more visible during the day and then drivers are more aware of you on the road compared to not having them. Especially when it's raining and they've got their windscreen wipers going, but you just want to make sure you're 100% visible. You can also run 2 lights, which I would highly recommend doing. You can have one on the blinker setting like this, and then one on the static. So my third tip is also having grippy pedals, something like this that I use for mountain biking. It's flat, it's got these deep lug pins, they're made of metal, so they get really in there in the shoe grips, just to make sure you've got adequate grip, especially in wet conditions. The other alternative is running a clipping pedal like I am here on my commuter bike. If you're not used to clipping in, then I would say stay away from this and get a really good grippy pedal. But if you are or want to get into clipping in, then I 100% recommend it. I did a video of clipping in for my first time, so you can click up in the top corner and you can watch that video there. Tip number 4, and while we're still on the subject of the drivetrain area, my recommendation is using a wet or all-weather lubricant for your chain. This is the most important part in prolonging the life of your bike. You know, this is where all the workhorse is going on. You're putting so much power through it, so your chain tends to wear really quickly. So if you keep it lubed a lot of the time, then it will last a lot longer. But when it comes to wet weather, having a wet lube means the lubricant will stay on there longer. I've recently started moving on to wax, and I'm using this one from Banana Slip called the Tungsten All-Weather Lube. It is great because it's a wax formula, so it means it doesn't attract any dirt, and it is also very water resistant compared to just your normal lubricant. But with wax, it does take a lot of time to apply. You have to completely clean the chain of all the oil and grime, same with all the cassettes, the rings, the pulleys, everything, and then reapply it just to the chain, let it dry off, and then it's great. But it runs so smoothly, so I would recommend looking into waxing your chain. My 5th tip for winter riding, especially in wet weather, is making sure your brakes work really well. Either going down to your local bike shop and making sure they get serviced, but the best thing is to check the brake pads, make sure they're not worn down, and especially as we're going into the wet weather conditions, getting really decent brake pads. Don't skimp out on getting cheap ones. Spend some money and get some nice ones, you know, like Swiss Stop, or, you know, high quality ones that will, especially if they're ring brakes, will do well. Also making sure if you've got disc brakes, they're not contaminated. You'll know that by having a squeaky noise when you pull them, and it gets generally annoying. So making sure you clean all the contaminant off that, and then also making sure the brake pads aren't contaminated. But again, if you take it down to your local bike shop and they'll happily look at it for you and make sure the brakes are working perfectly, it's 100% worth doing, especially in wet weather conditions. So my sixth and final tip is making sure you've got good tires when it comes to wet weather riding. You can get ones which are all weather, where they have a tread pattern which is designed to shed water, meaning you've got more grip on the roads, but also trying to go with the widest tire that your bike can accommodate. So you've got more contact point on the roads. You will lose speed doing that, but it means it'll be more comfier and also more grip. Another thing you can do is run lower pressures, not too low that if you hit a pothole, your rims are gonna ding, but making sure that you kind of almost have a flat surface. One, it will make the ride a lot more comfier, especially over rougher terrain, but it will also provide you with more grip. And that's something you want when you're going around corners with other vehicles on roads, such as cars and trucks. You don't want to slide out and fall in front of them and they can't brake in time, and eventually bad things will happen. For added visibility, you can also get a tyre with a reflective rim strip, meaning cars, when their headlights are shining on you, make you more visible. Let me know in the comments below, have those 6 tips been helpful for you to make it more comfortable and safer to ride in those treacherous, wet and dark conditions? It'll be interesting to get your feedback. Also, another important part is the layers you wear while riding in those conditions, and I'll be making a video about that. But yes, that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, especially if you want to stay up to date with the latest videos I post. Hope you're staying safe, staying positive, having fun, and I shall see you in the next one.